So, folks, I'm downtown and just had some interesting things happen. As you're aware, twice now I've had ghost tours call the police on me for filming in public. And I come down here and there's street preachers down here all the time. But today I had to laugh my rear end off because a street preacher was following these ghost tours around and chasing ghosts was sinful, etc., etc. And you can hear us one in the background. I'm probably heading up to where he's at again. He's making his rounds. I'll make my rounds. It's telling me to rotate my device, so I apologize if I was sideways. It is what it is. So anyway, I'm downtown. I'm down at Pressa and Crockett. I had followed the ghost tour after he had stopped following them, just to see what some of their comments were or whatever. No big deal. But again, to me, it's funny that these ghost tours will call police on me for filming them because they feel like I'm taking money from them. But they don't call the police on the guy standing behind them with a bullhorn telling them what they're doing is sinful. Well, they probably haven't. The police have said he can do it. And if they have, I'm glad they did that. They should do the same thing if they tell them, the guy's following you with the camera. But, of course, it is what it is here in San Antonio. So, I'm going to turn my camera around. I appreciate whoever's viewing. I can't see who you are. But, again, I did post part 3 of filming in public criminalized, and because of that, I decided I'd come back down to the same area where the police have tried now on multiple occasions to harass me and tell me they're going to arrest me if I continue to film in these areas. And again, I laugh about that because what I'm doing is perfectly legal, and they know that. But they'll dig for anything. They'll try anything that they can. Tonight, I anticipated possibly having some anxiety. And so you may notice my slurring is not as bad as it is sometimes. Also, I haven't had anything too anxious happen tonight. But I upped my dose on my anti-anxiety medicine just in case, because every time I've come out here and the officers start giving me crap, they automatically go to, well, you're slurring your words, so you must be intoxicated. And I'm so tired of that. It won't hold up. I'll fight these bogus arrests, but why fight them if you can just stop them from happening? But the issue again is when they come out and target you, they'll find anything they can to get rid of you. They don't care if it's legal or not, and that's a problem. So I'm gonna turn my camera around. That's Houston Street down there. And again, I was going down to the Emily Morgan, just documenting I am going to continue to film in the same areas that I always film in, regardless of if these ghost tours are working or operating or not, and regardless of if they feel filming with them is illegal. And again, if I happen to catch the street preacher blasting them again while I'm on live, so be it. I recorded it earlier. Wasn't on live, but he showed back up over by where I was down there, and I thought he was going to continue to follow that group, so I decided to go live then. Then he left and went the other way. So So, I point this out because I've had officers go, "You smell like alcohol," and I walk by that place, and everyone in there smelled extremely intoxicated. But that doesn't mean a thing. So you got your other things going on down here. And again, I appreciate whoever's in. I can't really see anyone in chat, or I can't see if anyone has chatted. Just giving you a heads up if you just came into the chat or watching the live stream. I'm back downtown in San Antonio, down by Bad Wolf Ghost Tours. Yeah, this is the ghost tour place that told the police to trespass me from the entire block. And I'm like, that ain't gonna happen. You can't do that. You can trespass me from your building. I've only been in there one time in my life. I'm never going back in there. But they can't trespass me from the sidewalk. And again, I was walking right up this way towards Emily Morgan when I saw that ghost tour coming this way. And then I heard the street preacher behind them. I'm like, wow, that's a huge group of street preachers. And I realized he was following them and taunting them. And, they can call it taunting, whatever. He'll follow a guy with a can of beer in his hand and say that, alcohol's bad too. So, he's simply expressing his views. Other people may not agree with him, but he has a right to do it. And again, that is one of the things that, because I'm a rights activist, I support that. Now I hear his horn. He has a trumpet with him tonight, and I hear him down there blowing it. But I'm just going to chill up here for a little while, see a police bike or two down that way. Not sure what's going on down there, but you know me, I see cops, drawn to them. So that's where I'm heading. Doesn't look like they're police bikes after all. But since I walked over this way, might as well get a good quick glimpse of the Alamo. Sorry guys, it's not all that entertaining. You can hear another street preacher off to my right. He's about 100 yards away. Like I said, folks, pretty boring video. Not out here chasing cops, but I am out here to prove that I will continue to do what I do on a normal basis. I won't be run off by rogue police officers, officers who overassert their authority, officers who feel like, oh, well, this is in the best interest of the city to run this guy off. You know what? In my opinion, it would be in the best interest of the city if those officers all got into car wrecks and were deceased. You know, when they say things like that to me and go, oh, you don't do anything at all for the city. And I'm like, really, dude? How many of your officers have now actually learned the laws that they've been violating for 20 some odd years because of activists? And of course, they all laugh about that because really what they're saying is, oh, we already knew. We didn't need to get that email. We knew we were breaking the law. But the good officers didn't. See, it's the bad officers that teach the new officers that, oh, you can do this. It's okay. And then they cop-splain it to them. And the new officers go, okay, that makes sense, when it doesn't. You know, there's a channel that I watch frequently. It's called Blue to Gold, and he's a lawyer. He's a former police officer. His job's actually going around and giving legal advice to police officers. And I started following him because he had made one comment that I didn't necessarily agree with, but I understood his legal principle for it. And on any pro-cop site, you're not going to get a warm welcome as an activist. So, you know, I kind of kept my mouth shut. I made my comment, and, you know, he didn't delete it, which surprised me. A lot of those types of things delete any negative comments. And on some of his other comments that officers were asking, I was surprised. And I'm glad that they do ask those questions. So I'm like, are you really that ignorant of the law? And I'm like, well, you know, I'd rather them ask a lawyer, you know, who will even tell them, you know, check your state. This is the case law I'm telling you, but, you know, each state is slightly different. But in general, this is the deal. And I was like, it's about time, you know, because again, you know, like simple questions like, you know, can I enter someone's home for this reason or that reason? Things that would be obvious to most people. But officers, you know, they're told things by other coworkers and they believe them. And the next thing they become policy. And then they make policy. And then it's not against department policy, even though it's illegal. I mean, these are the types of things. So anyway, what I was saying is I watched this guy's Blue to Gold channel, and he makes some good points to a lot of officers, and I appreciate that. And I was explaining to him, you know, I'm surprised when I speak to officers at how unknowledgeable they are, but most of them do not care. They really don't. They don't believe anything anyone else tells them, and they're simply trying to dominate you by their will, and they feel like, I don't care if it's illegal, as long as I deny it, knowing, then I can do it. And I mean, again, that's a problem. That's why people get arrested, spend months in jail, and thousands and thousands of dollars defending themselves, only for the DA to finally look at all the evidence and dismiss it. And nothing happens to the police officers. And I know because I've had 2 cases that I knew I would win. Once the DA looked at all the evidence, at first he's going, I read the police reports, you're guilty of sin. I'm like, yeah, I know you read the police reports. All those police officers lied. Look at their body cameras. They all said they gave me criminal trespass warnings. Multiple officers did it. But of those 8 officers who all said they saw it or did it themselves, not one of them had that on their body cam because no one did. But one officer said he did, so every other officer is going to say, oh yeah, I saw him do that. Yeah, I know he did. You know, and they may even believe it. The booking officer said, oh, well, the covering officer told me she gave him a criminal trespass. And since he was the arresting officer, that's the first thing I brought up to my lawyer. And she's like, ooh, I don't see it anywhere on here. I don't see it anywhere on. I'm like, you're right, because it doesn't exist. Have her explain that in court. And again, they would have gone to court if I hadn't subpoenaed that body cam footage. The police refused to release it to me, but they had to give it in disclosure in court. And again, there's a reason the police won't give body camera footage to anyone. They hide behind the fact that they know it's difficult to get. Here in Texas, it's damn near impossible to get any body camera footage unless you're a defendant in a trial or unless you've subpoenaed it. And then even then, they'll put several clauses in there so that they don't have to. So I'm out here, and again, these are people protesting and demonstrating. may not agree with their message, but I don't care because I've always believed that they have a right to say what they're saying. It doesn't matter if I agree with their message. So I support them coming out with their message.
Has the power to set you free from the addiction of porn. Jesus can set you free from
How you doing?
homosexual sin.
And again, your street preachers across the street now.
Brokenness. You don't have to be controlled by the addiction of alcohol. Jesus Christ is God Himself. God in the flesh. And only Jesus can set you free. Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. Follow His name and you will be saved. The Bible says in John 15, the devil comes to lie, kill, and destroy. That Jesus has come that you may have life, and life more abundantly. Jesus Christ is God Himself. He is Messiah, holy man, holy God.
So the street preacher across the street is the same guy who blasts the ghost tours. So I'll sit here for a few minutes.
Is the only way. According to the Bible, Jesus Christ,
And
born a Jew, born of a Jew mother. A Jew is someone that was born as prescribed in the Word of God. Jesus Christ is returning as King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And of His kingdom there shall be no end. Trust Jesus and be saved. Jesus loves you. Jesus laid His life down to be crucified so that He could pay for the sins of the world, including you and I. If you trust Jesus, He will break every chain of addiction.
okay, folks, that's going to conclude my tour of downtown. Basically,
Trust
um,
God.
been a pretty boring night, but I'm not going to stay out here all
The
night.
Bible says that there
I've done what I intended to do. Come down here and show that I will go back to the same areas where I film in public all the time. Do not care if people like it or not. Again, I come down here and I support. Had a street musician earlier who I put out a short on. These guys out here are making some political statements. I couldn't hear them all. My hearing's not that good. And I may not agree with their statements, but I expressly appreciate the fact that they come out here in public and make them. Just like this street preacher may not like his message. In fact, I find most street preachers pretty darn annoying most of the time. However, it's very important that he be allowed to continue doing what he's doing. And for me, again, the highlight of my night was when he was blasting his horn behind a ghost tour and telling them, chasing ghosts is sinful, etc., etc. So, you know, one lady snapped and was yelling he was harassing her. But again, for me, I find it funny because some of these little tours, they get mad and say, I'm calling the police and saying you're harassing me. Or they have their guests do the same thing, which happened to me down here. And, they probably thought it was funny. They probably didn't understand what all goes on down here. But the fact is, 9 San Antonio police officers from Bike Patrol left all of their patrol areas to come up to chase down one cameraman. I wasn't going anywhere. And 9 of them showed up. Only 3 showed up to a stabbing one night. Turned into a murder down at the convenience store down here. And you have to ask yourself, when people abuse police authority like that, you'd think that the police would be upset with them for doing it, but no. Police come out, and those officers don't like me anyway because I film them too. They're looking for any reason to throw me in jail, to harass me, intimidate me. And I'm like, that ain't going to happen. Screw you. Or whatever. So, I went down to complain where I thought Jesse worked because he goes into Bad Wolf Ghost Tours, as they admitted after his tours. They say he works for a company that doesn't have a physical address. So what I feel now in my heart is that the employees have just kind of been letting him go in there, and maybe a couple of his customers go in and buy something, so they let it slide. The owner says we told him not to do it, but based off the reaction of the employee after I went outside, they told me to sit in there and wait for the owner. And I'd been in there for about 20 minutes. I'm like, okay, I'll wait. How long is he going to be there? And they're like, oh, he'll be here within 15, 20 minutes. And I waited, for another maybe 5 or 10 minutes. And I said, I'm going to go outside and smoke. And I went outside and smoked. And I noticed they, huddling and whispering to each other. But I'm like, whatever, that's not my concern. And then, about, 10 minutes later, the guy comes outside and he's standing by the door looking around. I'm thinking, okay, he's waiting for the owner to introduce me to the owner when the owner gets here. Nah, that prick. He'd called the cops and he was waiting for the cops to show up. As soon as he saw the cops were coming, what he did was duck inside and lock the door, which made it seem like he felt threatened. I'm sure whatever lies he told to the police dispatcher, they're like, well, if you're so afraid of this guy, go inside and lock the door. And obviously he couldn't have been too afraid if he was standing outside with me, and I have him on film doing that until the police show up. So again, it's little bullshit games like that people do play, these Karens. And I'm like, I don't care. You're not going to tell me that I'm not going to do what I'm allowed to do by law just because of virtue feelings. And, initially the people in Bad Wolf Ghost Tours are like, yeah, he should have never told you can't film him. That's wrong for him to call the police on you. And 5 minutes later, they're doing the same thing. Again, that's why I'm laughing tonight when I saw this guy following these guys, and he's just lighting into them. I'm like, it's funny to me how the police will tell me that I'm harassing someone if I'm filming in public, not even filming a specific person. But if someone feels harassed, that it's harassment. I'm like, you need to look up the law, man. It's 4207, and if you don't know that, then that's your problem. You're a dumb officer. But, either way. So I'm going to head out of the downtown area. Before I do, I will walk right by Bad Wolf Ghost Tours again. And I will point out the fact that, yes, I am intentionally walking down this side of Houston Street, the side of Houston Street that Officer Cruz told me I'm not allowed to walk on. It was an unlawful order. I told her that. She tried to back it up with other BS, and I'm like, that ain't gonna fly. So, So you got one guy in there who I don't recognize, all the way in the back, in all black. And then every night, 8 p.m. reservations are mandatory. So I guess I got here a little late tonight. I guess next time I have to come down by 8 to hang out in front. Okay, folks, I'm heading on. I appreciate those of you who did drop in. I don't anticipate anything else. I may record something else and post it up later, but so have a good evening. Thanks for stopping by. Sorry for the boring video.